Elvis Smylie joining me as a winner just a couple of weeks after your debut on the Tee It Up pod. But mate, congrats, fresh off the win at the WA Open at Mandurah. How are you?
I'm good, mate. It's been a crazy last 24 hours, and it's been a quick turnaround. I'm here in Adelaide in the next tournament and ready to do it all over again.
Mate, no rest for the wicked. It was amazing scenes on Sunday at Mandurah. Obviously, you had the playoff with Jack Carter. You had the lead for most of the day. Inclement weather. The top three. So Curtis Luck as well was down there at the stretch with you guys. Mate, it was probably like the most. My wife hates golf, and she sat there and watched the last 5 or 6 holes with me because she's like, "This is nuts." How you feeling, mate? Like getting through it. We'll talk about a few shots and things from the round, but how are you feeling? 24 hours on, and you've got your feet back on the ground.
Yeah, I feel great. Obviously, going back to Sunday afternoon, that was probably one of the hardest, probably hour and a half that I had to deal with from the 14th hole onwards. I mean, once that rain came in with the wind and the stop starting with um, the play being suspended because the greens were starting to flood, it became more a mental battle than actually who was hitting the better golf shots. I think it was just who could stay composed the longest and could hold their nerve and hit the right shots at the right time, and I felt like I did a really good job of that.
Well, mate, the stats don't lie. You did that, and that's what I was thinking watching it. I was like watching Curtis, and he sort of wasn't keeping it as calm as you were, and you were just like steely in your resolve. We'll talk about the bogey on 16, which is something that you know
Yeah.
I thought, oh no, like Elvis, no, like please don't. Like you've been so good all day, mate. You've stuck in, you've hung in, you've been patient. The wind picked up as you were about to putt. Did it go through your head to walk off or pull away and start again, or tell
No,
us
I was
about that
actually
that moment?
I was actually pretty good. The only thing was that green's normally really fast when there's no rain, and the fact that play kept getting suspended and then getting resumed, I knew that the greens were going to be a lot slower than what they were just because of the rain.
Yeah,
So dialing in the speed as soon as I got back was actually probably the hardest thing. And that green, the whole week, was probably one of the fastest greens, and I had a really slippery 30, 35 foot putt that broke right to left, and I left it about 4 foot short. And then eventually I missed that as well, which brought Curtis into the equation. So we were even with two to go, and I think I had a one shot lead on Jack. So any momentum that I felt like I could try and ride from playing good golf throughout the tournament, it kind of, I don't want to say it went away, but it just felt like the stop starting definitely felt like you really had to switch on when you got back resuming play.
yeah, man. I want to talk to you about your mental stuff. Obviously, you changed coaches to Richie, and you're physically going really well. But last week, I think you finished tied fourth or third.
Yeah,
Um,
I was one shot out of the playoffs, so third. Yeah.
Yeah, at Cal, which, you spoke about how good you're feeling, and I've tipped you to win the Order of Merit on our tipping pod. So there you go. I'm riding you hard this season. But how did you back up from that disappointment last week? Like you probably, you know, probably should have won the tournament last week if you go based on just a few bad swings. But how did you get off the canvas to then front up again? And then we'll talk about the playoff with Jack.
I think going back to Saturday afternoon last week at Kalgoorlie, I had a three-shot lead with 2 holes left on the Saturday, and I finished double bogey, bogey. Oh, sorry, no, I finished bogey, double bogey, and um, like you said, I made a couple of poor swings at the wrong time, and overall, what I took away from that week was the more times I put myself in the position where I'm up at the leaderboard and I have a chance at winning, the better I'll be able to handle myself. And I think mentally I was really good last week, but technically I obviously made a couple of poor swings at the wrong time. So something I learned this week to go into Mandurah with is I just did a really good job at being able to be as present as I could with each shot.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned to you this before, but knowing that I'm going to hit poor shots, but being fully committed to hitting good ones as well. And I felt like I did a really good job of that. So yeah, it was almost like a blessing in disguise last week, what happened. So it could give me the opportunity to get over that, but realize that there's a lot more tournaments left. And I went out and did, a lot of good stuff at Mandurah, and I got the job done.
Yeah, you did, mate. It was unbelievable. We'll talk about now the playoff. Obviously, you've hit a really good shot into 18 regulation, left it in the jaws. and then Jack stumped one and made the putt, which like Jack's an absolute legend of a bloke. Like, bit of a grinder, works really hard on his game. He's it's not far away for him. The fist pump with him, like you both got around each other, which was, really wholesome and cool to watch. How was it going down back down 18 after you've just seen what Jack's done and then doing pretty much what he did back to him? It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that 18th hole in regulation, for him to be able to hit a shot like that in the conditions that we were playing in was an absolute joke. I mean, I fist pumped him because like that was one of the best shots I've seen. And in doing it in a circumstance like that, I tipped my hat off to him. And I said, like, when we were in the scoring hut, I said, let's go again, let's do this. um, and yeah, I mean, Jack's a great guy. He's a class act, and I know he's going to get the job done soon. But in that moment, it was my time, and I played a great playoff hole. I hit a 3-iron straight down the guts and flicked a wedge to 2 feet. So, and he was out of position, unfortunately, off the tee. So it felt like I had a little bit of a door that I could go through. So I did a really good job at knowing when it was my time to hit the right shots, and I did that.
Yeah, mate. It was unbelievable. You guys, acquitted yourself beautifully. I thought the coverage, you wouldn't have seen it, but I was watching it from home down here in Melbourne, and Jimmy did a great job in sort of taking us into what the conditions were like. The squidgies on the greens was extremely humorous to watch from home. The old boys were working very hard to do that. Great week for Richie Smith. Obviously, it's your sort of first full season with him as your coach. Hannah got the job done. What's been the conversation with him since winning? It's now a different ball game. You sort of, gone from being one of the hunters to one of the hunted on the Aussie tour now, which is cool.
Yeah, Richie was out there the whole day watching me, and then he was also tuning into the coverage in Korea where Hannah won as well. So he was keeping an eye on us both closely, and it was great for him to be able to be there to witness my first pro win. I might have mentioned this to you before, but the fact that when you're in a tournament, I think technically you become a little bit more exposed to, I guess, maybe some poor swings. It's not so one-dimensional. You're always crafting shots and hitting different shapes. So technically you're not always going to be absolutely perfect. So I think for him to be able to see how I go about hitting different shots and flighting at different ways, I think it can really be beneficial from a coach's point of view, just to see, okay, like this is what he relies on when he's coming down the stretch. And I think from an outside looking in, I think he thought my body language was quite impressive, and he was quite calm and composed throughout the whole day. Like I spoke to him as soon as I got off the 18th green, and he said, "Get it done." Like he just said those 3 words. So he's very simple. He's very straight to the point, and yeah, I mean he's great to be surrounded by.
It was, yeah, as I've mentioned a few times now, it was great viewing. How was the phone call to the folks? Obviously, they've ridden every bump with you since you're, 6-year-old grinding there up in Queensland when you're a kid, when your dad started taking you to play golf. But how was that? Would have been emotional for the family.
Yeah, that was the first phone call I made, both to my parents when I got in the car, and they were watching the broadcast the whole day, and they were just so proud of how I carried myself, especially over the last 5 holes when the conditions got very difficult. They thought I carried myself really well, and they were proud. And, I just said I wouldn't have been able to have done it without their guidance and support throughout the whole journey that I've been on so far. So even though they weren't there in presence, they were definitely there in my heart. So it was nice to have them there, riding every golf shot with me and every step of the way.
Well, mate, that was spot on. You're a class act all weekend. It was great to watch. The feedback, I put up a poll after you won. How many times will Elvis win this year? And I had players who you're playing against saying 3+. Some of the boys from the tour. So you're obviously impressing everyone out there, mate. It was only a matter of time before it all clicked, and you're going to get it done. You're now, going in as a winner to the first WebEx Series event. How's the prep this week for you? Going in as the winner. Must be cool.
Yeah, I think nothing has changed in terms of my preparation. Like I'm still going to the gym and I'm still looking after my body. And then at the same time, I'm going out, and I played 9 this afternoon with Bowra, Jake McLeod and James Mee. So it was nice to do it in an environment where, those 3 guys are some of the best guys to hang around with on tour. So we had a bit of a money match, and Yeah, it's just great. The course is quite quirky and quite dinky. It's very strategic, and it's not a very long course. So, your first instinct is just to attack every hole, but there's a lot of trouble around the greens, and
Yeah, very
you
tight.
gotta you gotta be careful with where you're missing it as well. So I think you've got to, rein it back a little bit with not having to go for everything. There's a couple of drivable par fours, gettable par fives, but the way the holes are designed, they're not necessarily attackable. So I think you just have to do a good job at when to go for it and then when to pull back a bit.
Nice, mate. Well, mate, it's going to be great watching you for the rest of the season. I'm really, really looking forward to what the rest of the Aussie season has in store for you. Now, leading the Order of Merit, please stay there. I've got a bet with McGill, who I do the pod with, that you'll win it. So, just finish top three every week, and we'll be happy,
Okay.
mate. But, mate, thanks so much for including us on the ride with you the last couple of weeks. Had all my fingers and toes crossed for you on the weekend. It was great to watch. So, congratulations. Enjoy the spoils, and yeah, good luck this week as well.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're a legend. Thanks so much, Elvis.
No worries. Thank you.